my dear? When we force relationships or entertain people outside of God's peace, outside of his orchestrating, outside of his doing, okay, we attempt to fill God-sized voids, okay, with human-sized objects, with human-sized things, okay, my dear? So we're talking about a void as big as, let's just say, space, and you're trying to use a human to fill that. You're setting yourself up for eternal disappointment, okay? Disappointment and bitterness and resentment in trying to fill God-sized voids with human-sized objects, okay, my dear? You're asking for unnecessary grief, dissatisfaction, and ultimately walking outside of God's alignment, okay, my dear? My beautiful sister, the absence of God's peace is a huge indicator that you are in a situation or relationship that you should not be in, okay? You are treading dangerous waters if you're not already drowning, okay? If you're in the early stages, and we're going to get to how you can identify being outside of God's peace. If you're in the early stages, you're probably treading water and you're realizing, I can't feel the bottom of the ocean. I don't know how far out I am. A wave has carried me out. I've swam out too far, wherever you are in that analogy. If you are close to drowning, God forbid, it means that you've been dwelling outside of his peace for a minute and he's about to swoop in and save your life, girlfriend. He's absolutely going to send you a life raft, okay? He will not let you die. A couple weeks ago, I think I did a word on, or I mentioned, does God allow his children to settle? And I argued the point, I believe the Lord will let us settle for a time in disobedience, okay? He will absolutely step in and be like, okay, my daughter, enough. I've witnessed enough. Now it's my turn to do things my way, okay? But he will not let us settle out of ignorance, okay? So if you are unknowingly treading water in dangerous waters, okay, he will bring you back to shore, okay? So out of ignorance. If you didn't know, he's a good shepherd. But if you are deliberately, intentionally stepping outside of the path he's placed you on, I believe he will let you dwell there for a little bit just to experience what life is like outside of his alignment. And let me tell you, honey, from a personal experience, it's not cute, it's not pretty, it's not the place you want to be. Dwelling outside of God's alignment, existing in places where you do not have the peace that passes all understanding, it is dangerous, it is counterproductive, counterintuitive, okay? It may cause a delay in you arriving to where you actually desire to be, but because you chose to go on your own path, or you chose to follow the crowd, or however you ended up outside of that aligned place, you are now finding yourself having to take a detour or having to do things again, or enduring a season of healing, which was inevitable, but now you have further delayed arriving to that promise, my dear, okay? So this happens in the spiritual realm, stepping outside of God's alignment first happens in the spiritual realm. We absolutely believe that everything that happens here on the physical plane has already happened in the spiritual realm. It's merely a manifestation, okay? So let's talk about how the absence of God's peace shows up. It shows up as mental confusion, okay? If it's already happened in the spiritual, where let's just say you're already in a relationship, you've decided to pursue a relationship that is not God's will for you, which you are now becoming aware of or realizing that this relationship is not in alignment, you start to have a state of mental confusion, okay? You're wondering, why doesn't this feel right? Why doesn't this feel like what I've always desired it to feel? Why do I no longer feel like it is, or why do I no longer sense that this person is patient, kind, long-suffering, okay? The words that describe love, okay, my dear? That's a great way to measure if this person is who the Lord has for you, because they will embody the definition of love found in 1 Corinthians 13. This person's name will be able to be replaced with love is patient, love is kind. And if they aren't, that's not love, my dear, okay? The Lord literally gave us the definition of love. And if anyone in your life, especially a romantic partner or your purpose partner, does not align with that, that is not the person for you. Easily weed that person out, okay? So it shows up as mental confusion, emotional irritation, or moodiness, okay? So we're talking about something that's already happened in the spiritual and how it is manifesting in the physical, okay? So now you are confused. Now you are more irritable. Now you are more moody. You have nothing to sort of ground you anymore because God's peace did that, okay, girlfriend? There is increased friction or tension in the relationship or around your loved ones, okay? You may even be experiencing a physical discomfort or illness, okay? I remember every time, if you know a little bit about my story, I was a victim, now victor, of 2 emotionally abusive relationships. And every time I was around those men, I would literally physically get sick, literally. On my way to visit them or in their presence, I would experience physical signs of illness in their presence. And as soon as I left their presence, healed. There was one, or recovered. There was one instance, a wind blew and literally it like blew a cold into my system on my way to visit this person. And in spending the evening with him, I developed a full out cold. The minute I walked away to go to my car that night and go home, sinuses were decongested, no more phlegm. It was crazy, but these things literally happen. I cannot make this stuff up. Let me know if you've ever experienced something like that, because that's a pretty obvious sign, but a lot of people don't pay attention to it. A lot of people don't draw the analogy or don't draw the relationship between being around someone with negative or toxic energy and physically becoming sick in their presence, okay? And you may even experience increased anxiety or stress. And these are all physical signs of how being in the absence of God's peace will manifest in your life, okay? So I do want to make a distinction. It's not to be confused with a challenging season, okay? God's absence is not to be, or God's silence rather, is not to be equated with his absence, okay? God is never absent. Sometimes he is silent, especially during tests, during challenging moments, okay? During dry seasons, it seems as if, where is God? I cannot find him. But intentionally moving outside of God's alignment and not being able to hear his voice when he is purposefully quiet and observing your actions are 2 different seasons, my dear, 2 completely different seasons, okay? So I definitely want to make that distinction, because I know a lot of you may be experiencing a challenging season where you seem like you can't hear him. You seem like there may be increased stress or anxiety or friction in your life. And some of these signs, of course, can be likened to a season of divine disruption, a season of healing, a season of refining, okay? But you would know if you walked away or if you are entertaining a situation that you know your daddy is not proud of. Capital D, daddy, okay? You know that the Holy Spirit is not proud of. You'll feel it in your spirit, girlfriend, okay? I knew that I was not supposed to be entertaining those men. I knew that. And I still kept doing it anyway. And I would still ask the Lord, why am I getting sick every 2 weeks? Why am I XYZ? Why is this happening? Why is there increased friction with this person? These are all signs we got to learn to pay attention to, my dear, okay? When you are directly opposing God's instructions for you, or directly, intentionally choosing to walk in the opposite way or walk parallel to where the Lord would rather have you, the path he'd rather have you on, you've made that decision, okay? It's not something that you stumble into, okay? So that's when those signs would apply to that season, okay? So if peace is a state of mind, my dear, if peace is a fruit of the Spirit, okay? Love, peace, joy. Love, peace, joy. I highlighted the wrong word. Love, peace, joy, gentleness, kindness, self-control, etc. If peace is a fruit of the Spirit, it means that it's something the Lord desires to cultivate in us, okay? He desires to prune this in us, okay? He does this through different seasons, different challenging moments, okay? Character development. He wants to prune a spirit of peace, okay? Deep-rooted contentment, okay, in you. When we are in perfect alignment with his will for our life, this is a byproduct of it, okay? Peace is a byproduct of walking in alignment. So if you are walking on a path and you do not feel peace, you do not feel as if peace is being cultivated in you, can we argue that you could be walking outside of that? I definitely want you all to reflect and think about this, because it makes the world of a difference in your relationships, in your life situation, in your heart posture, okay? Even in storms or even in seasons that are particularly challenging, you will still experience a peace that passes all understanding, because you know God is orchestrating that storm. Because of your heart posture, because you believe that the Lord is either going to calm the storm or he's going to calm you during the storm. You know that a miracle is waiting for you on the other side. You know that he's coming to your rescue. You know that he will not let you fall nor fail. You know that your walking on water moment is seconds away, okay? So when you are in a situation where you are being tested, it's a little bit different, because you still have that peace that this is just a season. This is going to end. This is not forever. And this is for a purpose, because it's doing something in me. I'm not reacting how I used to react in the past, okay? That's how you know you've grown. When you go through challenging situations and you handle it with maturity, and you still feel peace about it. But when you do not, and we're going to talk about some signs, you'll know, okay?